What's going on, gamers? We got an interesting post here coming from Famitsu, and it's about PlayStation practically coming out officially again, because it's already been said by Herman Host, but now the boss himself, Nishino, came out and made it clear that PlayStation exclusives, because you could trust them like Xbox, are remaining on PlayStation 5 when it comes to single-player games. They will never leave the PlayStation ecosystem. They're going down the Nintendo route in that perspective. Except Nintendo's not sharing their live service of multiplayer games too, but they don't really have any live service, but they're not doing that. So the thing here is that this also solidifies a more negative state for Xbox. And what do I mean by that? Not just what they said recently, but the Xbox Helix not getting any PlayStation single-player games, and it's 100% confirmed. Same thing for Steam and the Steam machine. They're basically saying it's over now. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. You got all these people thinking Ghost of Yote was coming and all that. I was like, no, it's not. PlayStation prioritizes console exclusivity for single-player games. See, that's right there in front of you. Prioritizes console exclusivity for single-player games. In a Famitsu interview, are you guys ready? Become a member, leave a tip down below, like, comment, and subscribe. Remember what AGM was trying to tell you? Months ago, people were saying, oh, you're just going off of rumors and blah, 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 this and that. No, you don't know what you're talking about. In a Famitsu interview marking the magazine's 40th anniversary, Nishino, keyword Nishino, explained that single-player first-party titles will focus on refining the PlayStation experience. We're focusing on PlayStation. You need that for PlayStation 6. PlayStation 6 needs to have a stronger identity than PS5. It needs to sell. Third-party developers rely big time, the whole industry, on PlayStation's, install base and their business models for third-party success. That's a huge part of the gaming industry. Now more than ever. And just rely on Steam. Xbox has fell off a cliff. They ain't gonna have no install base. Nintendo is right after that. You see what I mean? So it's like, you need PlayStation 6 to be successful. So it needs a stronger identity now more than ever. Staying exclusive to drive hardware, keyword, hardware loyalty. Sony knows this because they know they can still sell PlayStations. Microsoft's doing it, but they're hurting their publishing. They don't have the sales that Sony can get. They definitely don't do Nintendo numbers, both of them, but it doesn't matter. And they're not subsidizing on the hardware or trying to say, oh, we're going to make a generation with Xbox Helix to sell more than a Series S and X. You know what I mean? Like, we would at least want to sell 45, 50 million. They ain't doing none of that. It's just, they don't know what they're doing. So we get it. They're focusing on the PlayStation 6 success and keeping it cross-gen with PS5. So you're going to have PlayStation 5 as the low-end PC in the gaming world, PS5 Pro as the mid-tier, and PS6 as the high-end, and the handheld for off-screen. Live service games, however, will launch on both PlayStation 5 and PC as standard to reach more players. Of course, they're not going to say Xbox, since Xbox is pretty much dead. Meaning you ain't moving any more hardware. In the future, you're not going to be a console. You're going to be maybe a PC Helix, right? They may cancel. You never know. They may sell the company. You have no idea, so we can't really focus on that. I can understand why Sony says PS5 and PC. So Sony's not including PC. Funny thing is, they didn't just say, oh no, when it comes to live service, we're going to keep that on PlayStation 2. They're still supporting PC. Marvel Fighting Tokon is a perfect example of that's not live service, but it's still an online multiplayer game, and they're putting that on PC. But I don't see PC making games and putting them on PlayStation. So say what you want, but it's like, that's what I mean. Where it's like, sorry, Steam is cool, but it still ain't on Sony's level. And not even close to Nintendo's, because it's like, you're not giving enough to do that. You don't publish. You don't sell 100 million hardware. The last Steam machine they tried failed significantly. This one that's coming out looks like it's going to be severely overpriced, and it's not going to sell that much. So what have you done in the hardware world? You have the install base to support the entire industry for decades. You haven't. You were an app on Windows' massive install base. That doesn't mean I don't like Steam. I'm just saying it's not the same. But you're getting supported by Sony, and you have been for a long time. So they're going to launch that on both PS5 and PC as standard to reach more players. Yeah, because if I open a theme park, I want as many people to come in as possible. Single-player games are different, but I need you live and active 24/7. Of course, for the microtransactions too, which I hate. This follows reports of Sony canceling PC ports like Ghost of Yote and confirms earlier internal shifts, as I was trying to tell people. They're not releasing those games on PC. It's over. They thought I was lying. Jason doesn't lie either. Anytime you see Jason Schreier actually say something, just remember, most of the time that guy is pretty much on point. That's Bloomberg. He can't sit there and just play games. Oh, he wants to dunk on Judge, but still. I'm sorry, that's going to forever be a meme. So with fans celebrating it as a smart return to stronger exclusives, yes, because PlayStation 6 needs a strong identity for the gaming industry and for third-party publishing and development and funding. The policy applies to in-house games, leaving room for case-by-case choices and partnerships. There you have it. Now Sony is letting you know 100%. We're going to get down to this post. Here it is right here. We're going to get down to the one that actually shows you all the graphs. And who but himself, William, is still in the side. This guy's funny. We'll look at his commentary in a second, or his long post. He reminds me of them. They like have very long emotional statements about PlayStation. So here's the 40th Famitsu. He's holding up the portal and the PlayStation. Structured content portfolio. Strong base of tempos augmented by transformational games and experimental opportunities. You see this. Tempo. Existing hit franchises, new IP with high ambition. From studios with proven track records of quality and success. Transformational, primary live service games and ongoing content. Differentiate through IP, themes, or gameplay. They're letting you know this is for live service, this is for the tempo, and that's the PlayStation color right there, blue. It's going to be with PlayStation. And then experimental is where you have showcase innovation, unlock new audiences, target new genres, high potential games with discipline on scope and budget. Yeah, budget is now something that's very important. And then you see William here saying, Hideaki Noshino confirms the new policy that single-player first-party PlayStation games will be exclusive to PlayStation consoles, while second-party games and multiplayer games may come to PC in a special Famitsu 40th anniversary interview. Here goes questions. There have been reports suggesting that you might reconsider bringing PS5 titles to PC. Could you share your current thoughts on this? Answer. We've always determined platform selection based on the characteristics of each title. If releasing a title on PC will maximize the gaming experience, we'll continue to consider that option. Our current main policy is that for single-player games developed in-house, we will further refine the value of the gaming experience that PlayStation can offer. At the same time, we believe it is important for live service games to reach a wider audience through online multiplayer, so we continue to view releases on both PS5 and PC as the standard. Regardless of the platform, we will make decisions based on the principle of delivering the best possible gaming experience that maximizes each title's unique features. Hideaki Nishino. This answer indicates that tempo first-party single-player games will be exclusive to PlayStation consoles, but smaller experimental single-player games, second-party games, and multiplayer games may still come to PC on a case-by-case basis. I have no problem with that. I would do the same thing. That's smart. In May, Bloomberg reported PlayStation Studio business CEO Herman Host told staff in a town hall Monday morning that the company's narrative single-player games will now be PlayStation exclusive, confirming Bloomberg's reporting from earlier this year. And there it is right there for you guys. AGN, once again, was not misguiding you. AGN knew what he was talking about. There may be maybe a hiccup here and there, but how many times has AGN been right in all these other channels that try to say something about AGN or certain channels or certain people on comments on my YouTube channel and on Twitter have been significantly wrong and did not know what they were talking about. In the Xbox world, in the PlayStation world, and the Nintendo world. Interesting, huh? Remember what I said about the Nintendo grip thing? They were wrong. Remember what I said about Xbox? And guess what happens? Not only last year, but this year, they were wrong. Remember what I said about PlayStation and PlayStation leaves PC? They were wrong. AGN was right the whole time. Yeah, that's why you're going to be supporting AGN's channel, because he knows what he's talking about. This is what this industry needs more. This is what YouTube needs more. People who know what they're talking about, that are guiding you rightly, that are doing the right thing over here. You need more intelligent and good content creators. There's plenty of grifting all around. You know what I mean? And the sources goes back to etc. And he says, for those who want to cut through the PR jargon, I recommend focusing on this. For single-player games developed in-house, we will further refine the value of gaming experience that PlayStation can offer. In other words, in order to increase the value of PlayStation consoles, you need exclusives. Here they come again. Give them some tissues. PC games. That's actually kind of funny. My thing here is, it's not. Here's my mentality. It's not because, oh, you're not getting PlayStation games on more. Haha, PC. Yeah, let's go back to PlayStation console exclusives because I don't want PC to have it. No, it's you had the opportunity for years. You went on political campaigns. You pirated. You didn't support enough. You're being cheap. And when I think about the success of PS6, I'm like, this needs to happen because you need PlayStation 6 to be successful. This is actually better for the whole entire industry because so much of third-party developers rely off of PlayStation's platform, which is mainly third-party with semi-first-party games. And they've been each generation trying to increase the first-party growth. You see what I mean? It's like, no. This is the best. It's whatever is the best decision for gaming. And what makes it more competitive, and what makes the PlayStation platform still successful. I would not want PS6 to fail. Do you know how much that would hurt third-party developers and third-party publishing and gaming growth in general? Why would you want that as a gamer? No. It's like, I wish Xbox would be more stronger so we could support third-party development more. But we got Nintendo to now come on the scenes now with the Switch having pretty much all the big third-party games, and they can take that fell off of Xbox and actually do better and get Japanese support. So therefore, they take advantage of that. But what would have been a greater picture if Nintendo was still doing that and Xbox was getting bigger install base and supporting third-party developers more? Then the gaming industry would be even more healthy with Steam added in with that. You see what I mean? That's the ideal picture, but Microsoft, bro, what do you want me to say about that? So there is no more debating about this anymore. Sony's pretty much saying when it comes to PlayStation 6, they pretty much want all the single-player games to be there and for PS5. We could go to multiple things and just see this. Sony CEO Nishino says single-player games will further refine the value that PlayStation can offer, but multiplayer games will continue to release on PS5 and PC. He didn't say anything about single-player games for PC. They seem to imply single-player games are exclusive going forth, and the policy change was real. And this is an official interview. It's not some rumor. It's not you saying, oh, but J-Shoe doesn't work for PlayStation. It's just Bloomberg, blah, 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 this and that. But he knows what he's talking about. Like I said, he's not going to make any of that up. So we can go take a look at some of the comments, and it starts to get very interesting. Let's see what some people say, actually. Let's go down to the thread. I guess they're not going to lay this out publicly, but there's no ambiguity in their strategy. During a town hall, pretty much meeting a few weeks ago, Herman Host told staff that their single-player narrative games would be PlayStation only. Remember, this is what Jason said, and I was trying to tell you guys. And he explained that they were inconsistent with their PC releases. They didn't make enough money and they want to keep their IPs aligned to their own platform. Confirmed this with two people who heard him say it. There is no case by case here. This was the original post that was made months ago that people were trying to argue against. Okay, so even more confirmed, but somehow it's bad when Xbox does it. Here's the thing with somebody with this type of mentality. Do you not understand that they are not in equal situations and positions, and that Microsoft has 100 times the money to grab from another part of the Microsoft corporation to fund the failures and cover it, and then buy Activision after that and Bethesda and lose 20 billion on top of that, over 100 plus billion? Imagine Sega trying to do that. They don't even have the money to do it. It's not even close. They didn't even have 5 billion. If not, they were trying to survive as a company, whatever the hell was left over. This is not the same situation. You literally are a P-brain. They're choosing that to go as an exclusive with a dead install base and a dead market that wants Game Pass games day one. And it cost them $400 million to do that, plus millions and millions for the PlayStation port, plus 50 plus million or more for marketing. We're talking about 470, 480 million here. How are you going to get that back going as an exclusive? Then Clockwork being 500 million. How is it the same as PlayStation when PlayStation is headed towards 100 million sales and they're at like 32, 33 million sales? Not subsidizing for hardware. Game Pass failed. PlayStation Plus did not fail. PlayStation Extra did not fail. PlayStation hardware did not fail. Sony just had a live service rush, but even then, they still had the most successful generation of all time. This is the worst Xbox generation of all time. Lowest hardware sales. With all those monopolies and all that money spent. Lying to you 24/7, most expensive generation of all time. And this company has more money than ever. How are they in the same situation when you had all that money? Sony don't have nowhere near that money, definitely Nintendo, and they're making much better choices. And Sony made a turnaround after the live service and turned things around. And then they got the GTA market coming, and they launched PS5 Pro and PSSR 2 that benefits the gaming industry and is benefiting PC gaming and AMD to go against Nvidia. I'm trying to figure out, and their game lineup is really good, and they're going back to exclusives, and they can actually do it because they can sell on their consoles. How is it the same? It's not the same. Sony can afford to do that, and they're fine. They're going to make that money back. Microsoft will not, and they're killing their publishing. So you're not, you see what I mean? You're not making any sense. This guy says, nobody wins. What are you talking about? See, these are the people that don't understand it. Everyone on PlayStation is getting the games just like always. PC players will now not get the game. 0 people on PC will get a PlayStation. How do you know that? That's not true. I think you may be mistaken here. Not everybody thinks like that, bro. So yeah, there it is, y'all. It's official. PlayStation is prioritizing console exclusivity now for their main games. But you're still getting some of their multiplayer games and certain other projects like Kena. Sony's still cool like that. They're still sharing their games. You're just not getting the other ones because they need that for their identity on PS6 because the prices are going to be outrageous more than ever. So what are you going to do then? You need to make sure it's attractive. That's a smart thing to do. Anybody with a live exclusive identity would do this. I told you before what rules the world, and that's identity. So yeah, leave a tip down below, become a member, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. It's funny how Xbox fanboys just don't understand that. And that kind of stuff is funny to me. It's like, no, you need to do what's most healthy for your platform. You being third-party publisher is the most healthiest thing you could possibly do to make profit. Not making something exclusive that costs way too much money later.